Samuel Muindi Mbingu is the man who was imprisoned for speaking his local dialect to the governor during the colonial government. Samuel Muindi Mbingu, born in the year 1893 and schooled up to Form 4 at Kabete Technical. After Form 4, he joined Kenya Power and later the colonial police. During this time, the colonial government had taken most of the Kamba land, and the Akamba, mainly pastoralists, were evicted from their land and sent to reserved areas. In 1937, the Machakos District Commissioner, with instructions from the government, rounded up to thousands of cattle from Nugus, meaning monkeys of primitive blacks, referring to the local natives. The government was pursuing a destocking policy as they claimed that numerous herds of cattle that ravaged the land between the Mua Hills and the present-day Nairobi city were degrading the environment. Rather than convince the Akamba to sell these herds, the colonial government decided to enforce the destocking policy by seizing the cattle by force. The herders believed that the colonialists actually wanted to sabotage the Akamba economy, as they saw the cattle as wealth that made the Akamba disobedient. Thus, the wealth was taken so as to gain control over them. Besides taking the cattle, the locals were forced to make terraces in their shambas. This treatment provoked the vocal and fearless Muindi Mbingu to leave the police and mobilize others like Elijah Kavulu and Isaac Mwalonzi to fight for the rights of their people. Due to his fearless character, he commanded a lot of respect and obedience from people, particularly from Ngelani and Kangundo regions, and was elected the chairman of the committee to address the people's problems. In the year 1938, all the cattle in Kamba, Ngelani, Komarok regions, believed to be 2,500 and more, was seized, leaving the locals without any cattle. It was at this point that Muindi Mbingu mobilized the people, where they agreed not to let their cattle go and not to make terraces in their land, as narrated by his son, Samson Muindi Mbingu. Muindi Mbingu was at the head of a greatly, tightly organized protest, complete with a slogan that lives on to this day, No Kiku, meaning, as previously agreed. From then, they rejected the DC's meeting until their demands were met. Each peace or coercion effort was met with chants of No Kiku. With no solution to the problems of the locals, Muindi Mbingu led the people of Ngelani, the old and the young, men and women, in the biggest demonstration to Nairobi, over 60 kilometers trek to meet the governor himself. They went to Kariokor, the Carrier Corps, where they stayed for 1 month, all this time seeking to see the governor, but being barred. Each time the governor passed by, Muindi Mbingu would rise to salute in jest to push audience with the governor. Muindi Mbingu organized how food for the protesters would be transported from Ngelani to Nairobi. At the end of the month, the governor's wife passed by and saw women suckling their young ones in the cold. And this touched her so much, and an act she wanted addressed by the governor, and hence, Muindi Mbingu and his committee went to the governor, where they agreed to release the cattle to the owners. Accounts indicate that during the meeting, when asked what he wanted done to his people, he responded in the local Kamba language, Twenda kuikalata mao mau maitu. Tuithia ng'ombe ta mao mau maitu. Nundu nthi ino ni ya mao mau maitu. Meaning, we want to live like our grandfathers, keep cattle like our grandfathers, for the land we live on is our grandfathers. The reference to Mau Mau, our grandfathers, struck a familiar tone to the colonialists, and they swiftly accused him of being the founder of the Mau Mau uprising. The Mau Mau is accredited to these brave nationalists. From this time in 1938, the colonial government accused Muindi Mbingu of leading a revolt called Mau Mau. It was against this background that he was arrested and detained for 7 years in the coastal islands of Lamu. After his release, he was compromised by then DC and collaborated with the colonial government, a move that annoyed the people he had previously led fighting against the abuse of their rights. This led to his brutal murder in the year 1953. His death marked the climax of Mau Mau revolution, with others championing the Mau Mau causes. What Muindi Mbingu did for his people is worth remembering. Hence, Muindi Mbingu Street in Nairobi and Muindi Mbingu statue and secondary school in Machakos.